Rob, as we go into 2014, what are some of the big trends you're seeing in the economy that will start to affect small business?
Well, look, the first thing I'd say is that one sector which has really responded to the Reserve Bank's interest rate cuts now is the housing sector. And it's been mainly showing up in very strong growth in house prices, particularly in Sydney, but nationally house prices are up by around 7.5%. And I suppose what that means to me is that we'll see increasing activity in housing construction. So that's something that I think small business will benefit on, particularly early on in 2014. That's one of the few areas that's looking pretty solid.
So that's builders, tradies, retailers. That has a big ripple effect, doesn't it?
Well, that's true. And of course, you know, when you build a new house, you need all those things to furnish the house, white goods and furniture and so on. One thing I'll say though about retailers is that I think households, whilst their confidence is up after the election, I think they're still pretty reticent to spend and their saving rates are high. So I still think retailers are going to have to be pretty good to continue to make a buck in 2014. And I think, you know, your good retailers know they've got to give the customer more than just a good price now. They've got to give them pre and after sales service and a good experience. And those that are doing that are doing fine. But there's no, I don't think, any point where they're going to be able to drop that off in the next few years.
Okay. Other trends?
Look, another trend that I think is pretty important though is that the unemployment rate is rising, and I think that will be a little bit of a damper. Now that's because the economy is growing, but a lot of the growth is going to come from exports in the next few years. That's very capital intensive, not a lot of labour needed. So certainly firms that are involved in servicing that growth in exports, services firms and so on, people servicing mining and energy companies, they should do okay. But for the next while, we're going to see strong growth in exports, and a lot of it won't create a lot of jobs.
Now, Rob, what about the potential of the region for us?
Well, look, I think China and Asia are throwing up opportunities now that many small businesses aren't quite aware of yet. But something a lot of people don't know is there are already more inbound tourists from China than there are from any other country other than New Zealand. And I don't know whether we call all the Kiwis, David, tourists. Some of them I think are coming out here for work and so on. But it is interesting to note that already China's the most important origin of people coming to visit Australia.
So a lot of small businesses say, oh, China's great if you're an exporter and you're a big business, doesn't affect me. But you'll say China's coming to Australia, all the Chinese consumers, so get your business ready for it.
Absolutely, and that's a key theme of ours, is that yes, certainly mining and energy is going to be important in the next few years, but the growth of middle income earners in China and right across Asia, David, means great opportunities to export services. Now, tourism's a classic case, and already I think that trend's well and truly in place.
Rob, great tips. Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.